Welcome back to the preview show. You know who we are. I'm Casey Campbell. That's Jonathan Fio from the Racing Experts. How's it going? We're getting ready for dirt. Got a little dirt on my boot. Wait, no, that's a song. We're going to Bristol Dirt. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to go to Bristol Dirt this weekend. Easter weekend, first time in like 50 million years that NASCAR is racing on Easter. I think it's like 50 years or something. I think since 1970 or something like that.
It has been a very long time since NASCAR has raced on Easter. It's very exciting that they're racing on Easter. It's going to, of course, be the Pinty's truck race on dirt, and then on Sunday, the Food City Dirt Race, the first NASCAR Cup Series race. Casey, I will quiz you. How long do you think it's been?
I don't know.
33 years. The last race was 1989 at Richmond. Rusty Wallace won the race.
Right. All right. So let's talk about there's a couple things that we'll get to our gas and go segment where most of the topics will be talked about, but we got some burning topics to talk about. Let's talk about that Martinsville race last week, or
That was for some people, that was a very spicy race, especially if you're Ty Gibbs. Of course, we saw him go after.
Other topic. We'll get to that.
Yes, the good win for Brandon Jones. I really thought he put on one of the best drives of his career in that final overtime. I know it did not get talked about at all after the race course because there was something even crazier that happened. But Brandon Jones put on a great drive on the final restart, muscled by Ty Gibbs. I mean, he's the bumper once, which typically everybody does when they make a pass at Martinsville. But for the most part, just drove by Ty Gibbs at the end of the race, and very impressive run. Brandon Jones has been around for a while. He's pretty much become like a veteran. I believe this is his seventh full-time season in the Xfinity Series, going back to when he started with Richard Childress Racing. Used to not be, I'll be honest, used to not be that good, but now he's really fully formed and become a very good driver, and it's fun to see him in the way he is, especially in the past. As he's taken wins away from guys like Kyle Busch, and now Ty Gibbs, one of the hottest prospects in the series, Austin Cindric, and others, so Brandon Jones, very talented. I think he's developed into being a very talented race car driver.
Yeah, for sure. But let's talk about the fight after the Martinsville Xfinity. Xfinity's off this week. They'll be back next week at Talladega. But Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs got into it. Now, for people that are just watching the Xfinity Series just to watch it and don't know the history, we're not blaming you unless we're going to tell you to watch ARCA. You should watch ARCA because
there's a show for that.
There is. So here's the thing, though. I expected this to happen at some point in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs, I'm just going to flat out say this. They do not like each other. So it seems like that, and I knew that these two were going to have a run-in at some point this season. It was predicted, and lo and behold, it happened. So, and also, we talked about this Tuesday when we had Taylor Kitchen on. But after that, the fact that Ty Gibbs was also fined $15,000, not for the fight, but for some other issues that he had during the race. Including, he was already getting called to the trailer anyway for, I think it was. I think he sped during a caution or something.
Did not slow down for a caution.
Okay. And then of course the using of, what was the other thing? Fight something. I think he rammed his car into somebody on pit road during all that.
Yeah, ran his car into Sam Mayer's car, and then also the initial thing he was getting called to the hauler for was there was a caution. He didn't slow down in the time that NASCAR thought he should have. It created some unsafe conditions. They wanted him to the hauler.
Yeah. I knew it was that. I just didn't get the words out correctly. Just like me. But anyway, what's next after this? I mean, what happens because it's like Ty Gibbs was, I haven't heard boos that loud for a driver in a long, long time. I mean, Ty Gibbs is the villain. There's no doubt of whether he likes it or not. He's the villain. He's going to win a lot of races. He's going to win a lot of championships too. But obviously it's, as Joey Logano always says, I don't have any friends on the racetrack. So what's next for Ty and all that? And how do you think he handles this?
First of all, I'm glad they're not going to Bristol Dirt this weekend, because I think they would burn the place down after what we saw last week and with how hot things are. But in all seriousness, though, I saw what Kenny Wallace tweeted out. It was a video he tweeted out after the race, and he was saying, I'm not against Ty. I'm not against Sam. I'm for what's going on the racetrack, that we have this rivalry going on between two up-and-coming, very talented drivers that's spilling over into the action we're seeing. And we have a new villain who is very talented, but also very hated. And we have this very talented driver who's on the other end, who fans are against. And it's fun because, a few years ago, there was a lot of doom and gloom in the sport. Let's face it, we're past that point now. There was a lot of doom and gloom in the sport where we didn't really have rivalries. We didn't really have, that kind of excitement that we're seeing now. And people weren't as passionate. So to see people be passionate about the sport, instead of passionate about the sport and the action and the drivers and the things taking place on the track, rather than being upset with the things that are going on in the races or changes NASCAR is making, that's a really good thing. And I think it bodes well for the sport. Because we saw that, and some people are saying, "Oh, why are you rooting against the person you've always wanted?" Well, they're supposed to root against that person, because this is everything you ever wanted. Of course, you're not going to like them, and that's okay. It's fun. People used to root against Jeff Gordon back in the day when he was up and coming and great. People root against Dale Earnhardt. They don't realize that now because, of course, Earnhardt has gone to this very heroic, legendary status, but the sport needs a villain, and I hope that Ty Gibbs fully embraces this status, because while I can appreciate his nice attitude, but I would love to see him just go, and this is where I'm coming from, just strictly from I'm editorializing here, but just take on that full-on villain role. Just say, yeah, I did it. I went out and did it. I'm talented, this, that, and the other. What are you going to do about it? Because that was the one thing that I didn't like from Martinsville, is I don't think he fully owned what happened, and I think if he just owns it, goes out there, the Kyle Busch attitude, that is going to go a long ways in securing fans on the other side who don't want to boo for Ty and can really get with that.
Right.
It's fun. And I think Ty has some learning to do as well, because stuff like this is not going to bode well in the Cup Series, but we have a lot to look forward to in the future. Okay. And I think this is fun for the sport.
Yep. And what's going to be fun next for us? Gas and Go. And that's what we're going to right now. And we have a lot of burning topics to talk about. I just want to get that the Ty Gibbs, Sam Mayer thing out of the way, because a lot of people, and if you listen to TPF Live with Marty Zaccalo, Nathan Solomon, and Rob Tiongson, they thought that I was jumping up and down when I was excited about this. I'm like, yeah,
sure.
Yeah, we were going to talk about it on here. Yeah. So appreciate the shout out, guys. So it is now time for Gas and Go. And of course, we have a lot of burning topics to talk about. Let's talk about this one. Shorter races. That's been a debate throughout the last week here. Of course, the Martinsville race was shortened to 400 miles. We've seen comments from Kevin Harvick says that the 500-mile races are a thing of the past. And then we've even seen comments from Haley Deegan and Chase Cabry saying they want to take another step further and just cut the Cup races in half. basically like a 250-mile race, like similar to what Xfinity and Trucks race, which means they would have to get cut to about 100 miles to 50 miles. So, yeah, it's a dash, but again, this debate has gone on for the longest period of time throughout all this. So I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock. And what's your take on this? And do you want shorter races? Go.
No. That rhymed with go. No, I don't want shorter races in the Cup Series or Xfinity or Trucks. Maybe a couple races could be shortened, but for the most part, I think Cup races are about the right length. You get to the Cup Series and this is the highest level of racing, stock car racing. You have to work up to this. It's long race. You test the drivers, test the equipment, test the teams. I think it's fine the way it is. Now, if you're going to shorten the races, you got to put some of them with it. So let's say, for example, the Texas 500 mile, or if you're going to shorten it to 300 miles or 350 miles for the Cup Series, you have to put a truck race or Xfinity race on the same day. Give fans the value. F1's been alluded to a lot in these discussions, and they have shorter races because they have 2 or 3 other series that run on the same day. If you do the same in NASCAR, you have to follow the same procedures. Put another series with it. Give the fans the money. You can't just shorten the races. No, I think the races are fine the way they are.
Okay. We'll see what they do with that. I know NASCAR has started to shorten the races. Before, I only think there's like a couple 500-mile races outside of the crown jewels. I believe Atlanta, and Texas have those two. So, I mean, we've kind of already seen it. So, yeah.
Also, too, I think like using the length wisely too, of like how much time you spend under caution, what are the links and stuff for the stages, different things like that, I think could be looked at too.
Yeah. Okay. So Xfinity is off this week. I know that a lot of people were talking about that. Biggest story after the past 8 weeks so far. Go.
I think JRM's performance has been really interesting to see. I mean, Ty Gibbs, yes, that is a big story. Yeah. AJ Allmendinger's consistency, that's a big story. But just how good JRM has been, because right behind those guys, you have Noah Gragson, Justin Allgaier, Josh Berry, Sam Mayer right there. They've been really strong this season, leading a lot of laps. And when it comes down to crunch time, teams get better throughout the season. JRM could potentially take up, one or more of those spots in the championship 4.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be there. Xfinity will be back at Talladega next week, as I said. Okay, speaking of Talladega, there's going to be a lot of changes. We got a lot of Xfinity topics to talk about. We'll get to some Cup and some truck ones too. But let's talk about the news that just broke today. Chandler Smith's going to be in 3 races for Sam Hunt Racing beginning next week at Talladega. He'll also be in there at Dover, as well as later in the year at Homestead. Your thoughts on Chandler Smith making his debut with Sam Hunt Racing? Go.
I think it's deserved. He's had a really good season. Top of the standings right now, running really well, leading laps. I think it's very deserved. I was high on him going into last season. He didn't really have that great of a season. Had a good playoffs. Now he's picking it back up. I think this is good. This is going to be first step into moving up into the upper echelons of NASCAR. Could be next to replace one of those JGR drivers if they near retirement in the next few years. Who knows? I think it's a good move.
Yep. Right on time, too.
Beat the timer.
Yeah. You did. Yeah, you did. We have bonus points for that one.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay, so we kind of touched on the Martinsville Xfinity stuff. Now let's talk a little bit about the Martinsville race. I know it's not been was the best race out there, but a lot of changes are going to be made, as I predicted. Of course, Scott Miller went on SiriusXM, said that there's going to be a tire test coming up later in the year at Martinsville. Also, Greg Stucker, who of course is from Goodyear, said similar to the same thing. We're definitely going to see a different Martinsville race, but how different are we going to see it? What's going to be the biggest factor of why that race didn't really perform well?
Tire wear. Jeff Gordon talked about it, that he essentially said the guys were running tires that did not wear at all, and they were running essentially rocks out there. And Plus, when you combine the cooler conditions, I mean, temperatures were barely out of the 30s, barely into the 40s. No rubber really getting laid on the racetrack like a typical warm Martinsville race. There's some other components to it, but I think tire wear is the biggest thing. You bring a tire that's softer, lays down rubber, wears out, really gets the drivers driving, you'll see a typical Martinsville race again.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be interesting there. Let's talk about the next thing on our list of stuff and more Xfinity news. Kaz Grala is getting a big opportunity for the next 2 weeks. So Big Machine Racing announced that Kaz Grala will be in the 48 car for the next 2 weeks at Talladega and Dover. Of course, Jade Buford was in that ride. I can confirm, and also I have talked to Jade. I did talk to Jade this week. Of course, if you watch my channel, you know he's been on there a lot. He's been on here a lot. He's a friend of the channel. He did tell me that he is still with the team, and they'll reevaluate the situation in the next 2 weeks. But that team has just not had the luck that they needed. Well, how about Kaz Grala getting this opportunity? What are your thoughts on all that situation over at Big Machine?
I think this is a good move, and I think Jade would even agree with me on that, just because he and Scott Borchetta have a close relationship. So I think this move is being made as something positive for the team. He understands what needs to be done. He understands that Kaz is also a very talented driver. Jade's a very talented driver, older driver. He's going to provide some good mentorship to Kaz, and plus Kaz is really good on the road courses. I know we don't have any coming up, but with a mentor like Jade Buford, Kaz could be really dangerous on the road courses when we go there next time. But good move, more opportunities for Kaz. I think this will work out in time. It'll be good.
And I believe the next road course race for the Xfinity Series is up at one of your favorite areas of the country, the Pacific Northwest in Portland. So fun stuff there to be upheld there. Let's talk about Jeffrey Earnhardt a little bit. He's going to be in the RCR car at Talladega. I got track president. The Talladega track president was on an interview I just did, which will be uploaded later on my channel. But he and I talked about this. This is going to be really cool. See, an Earnhardt, I believe the first time an Earnhardt has been back in the 3 car in the Xfinity Series, I believe, since 2010. We all know what happened at Daytona. We all know what happened there. Of course, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won that race. But how about Jeffrey Earnhardt getting another opportunity, especially at RCR?
It's fun. It's fun to see. And you mentioned an RCR car. It's not just any RCR car. It's a black number 3 with white lettering. Wow. I saw that scheme, and that's something good for Jeffrey. He pulled together a lot of different partners over the years and gotten some good deals, this included. I think he'll do well. I think he runs up front occasionally, in the super speedways, RCR equipment. He'll be a contender in the race for sure.
Beat the timer there too. Okay, next topic. Josh Williams is going to make his Cup Series debut at Bristol Dirt. Got a chance to talk to Josh today. Really, really excited, and he has had, it's been complete hell over on the Xfinity side, but news will be coming out about that team more often. He'll actually have a new crew chief this week, next week, with Mike Tiska coming over from that. More on that will come up next week when the Xfinity Series goes to Talladega. But Josh Williams is getting his Cup opportunity. The reason why he went to BJ McLeod, or now Team Live Fast, is to get an opportunity to race on Sundays, and now he gets to do it. And he's so excited to run at Bristol Dirt. So how about your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great opportunity. If you've ever spoken to Josh before, he's a very good dude, works hard. He's one of those independent guys in the sport. He's racing for another independent guy who's very hardworking and well-respected in the garage area, BJ McLeod, of course. This is a good opportunity. This could be fun, and, who knows what could happen. We haven't seen this next gen or Gen 7 car on dirt yet, so who knows? Maybe could pull out a surprise finish. Something happens. Don't know.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I know you wanted to get this topic in there, so we're going to do it. let's talk about spring Bristol, the concrete Bristol versus Bristol dirt. I know that the Iceberg just recently posted a video on this. We got a chance, and I just watched it, and as well as you did. Your thoughts on where that debate stands about? I know there's been a lot of talk about Bristol dirt and should cars be racing on dirt and all that, and why don't you give your thoughts on that? Go.
Yeah. So they say absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I think that applies very perfectly to Bristol because, we've seen it with other tracks when they've lost a date. The Chicagoland is a very good example. I mean, obviously we haven't seen any racing from there, but when a track loses a date, generally the fans start to appreciate that track more. We've seen it with Auto Club. We've seen it with other tracks before. And I think it happened with Bristol. We only saw it once a year, put on a great race weekend, and we were thinking, oh my gosh, where did the concrete Bristol go? So now that we have dirt Bristol here, I think it's starting to go away, that old Bristol versus new Bristol debate, and people just have a general appreciation for Bristol. It'd be great to see the spring race come back at some point, but I think dirt is exactly what the track needed. Something different, something to gain a greater appreciation for concrete Bristol. And I know I'm way over time, but I think it's something important to recognize in all of this.
Oh, absolutely. We're not, we don't do time limits here. But we just, getting into the next topic and all that, but let's end.
I'll even go as far to say as the Bristol dirt race is exactly what Bristol needed to revive itself.
Yeah, it looks like ticket sales are looking like it's going to be there, and it's going to be on Easter Sunday, which leads into that next topic. NASCAR hasn't raced on Easter Sunday in a while, but it's going to be. I mean, they're going to go all out for this day. When you bring big people like Chris Tomlin and Max Lucado, who are huge in the of course, Max Lucado, a well-known pastor, Chris Tomlin, a well-known Christian singer. When you bring those people in and a bunch of others, when you bring Darrell Waltrip's going to also be there. We'll get to that in a minute. But your thoughts on NASCAR racing on Easter Sunday? Should they do it? Because it's typically a lot of people kind of reserve that day.
Yeah, I think you have to look at it from two angles. From a business angle and from tradition angle, it's great for the sport to develop an Easter tradition. From, more of the family aspect, it's hard for the teams because they're already away from the track enough. And now they have the one holiday weekend that they always had off taken up by a race. So I think that's really tough. But NASCAR is meeting them halfway with what they're doing this weekend. I know many people have their families there, and there will be a lot of different Easter services, things going on. So I think it's a good compromise, but it's just a tough life being in the sport. We've heard it before from people on Twitter about how it's a grind. It's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. And this is part of it, like you're living a dream, but there are some sacrifices you got to make. And, this is unfortunately one of them,
But the thing is, no one would trade in for the world though, but, obviously, everything like that and all that stuff. So it should be fun, but all right, last topic in Gas and Go, and then we'll go to our mostly favorite segment, the picks. Darrell Waltrip is back in the booth this week. I know a lot of people are happy that he's back, but again, not really, because he's going to be paired with Clint and all that. And, it's going to maybe get crazy, and everybody's had their thoughts on the broadcast, and I don't want to go down that hole again. But your thoughts? I mean, we thought we'd see him at the Darlington race for like a throwback race, but then again, it is Bristol. He still lives in the Tennessee area. And of course, it is Easter as well. So he a very well-known Christian in Darrell Waltrip. But what are your thoughts on all that?
It's Easter. It's Bristol. DW course is the all-time leading winner in wins at Bristol. Of course, that's what all-time leading winner means, of course. It's fun. DW hasn't been in the booth in a while. I don't think it's an issue. I think it'll be fun. It'll be a good shot of nostalgia.
Yeah, it will be. So, Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and we're not doing the buzzer this time. So that is Gas and Go. Tune in next week for more great topics of that. All right, now it's time for our favorite segment of the show, the picks. Of course, guess who's leading the pick standings? That would be you. You got a pretty big lead on, I believe it's Nathan in second, and then Marty is in third. So actually I think I'm in second and something else. I made my climb up there since Richmond. I think it was sixth and now I'm second. So making my way up.
You're like Matt Kenseth back in 2005.
Yeah. Yes, I guess so. All right, let's do the truck. Let's pick the truck race, the Pinty's Dirt Truck Race at Bristol Dirt. A lot of fun names are going to be in there. Who you got?
Including Chase Elliott.
Yes. Is that your pick?
Oh, yeah, that's my pick.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that's my pick. Chase Elliott to win.
Yeah, the Spire truck is, you usually talk about the pick a little bit, and then you decide. But okay. Well, I'm going to, a lot of new faces are in this field that, guys like Harrison Burton, Joey Logano, people that have been at this race before. But I'm going to pick somebody that's completely out of the box. Someone that's racing here for the very first time. And I know a lot of people are going to be excited about. And if you've seen my channel, especially in the last few weeks, he's been a frequent guest on there. I'm picking Buddy Kofoid. Of course, he'll be in the 51 truck this week, the truck that won at Bristol Dirt last year with Martin Truex Jr. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see. He's had NASCAR aspirations for a long time. He was on the channel last week talking about it. He wants to go out and win. He's part of the Toyota pipeline. Of course, he was the SAC championship. Of course, if you watch the Chili Bowl, you definitely know who that is. Where he beat out Kyle Larson on, I believe it was one of the heats of that. So it's been Chili Bowl was in January. I can't even remember how that thing works. But yeah, I'm gonna take Kofoid to win. It'd be a big win if he gets it done there. So fun stuff. And of course, that will be on Saturday night as well. But Sunday night, Sunday, the Food City Dirt Race at the Bristol Dirt, 8 p.m. Sunday. After your Easter service, your Easter dinner. I don't know what you have on Easter dinner, but whatever, you better enjoy it, because then we're going to get to this. The real action is on that racetrack with racing. So should be fun there. But who you got, bud?
I have Tyler Reddick. He's been good with this Gen 7 car, been good this season, and he has some good dirt experience. I think he's going to get the win. Also, too, got to remember, last season we had just straight banking in the turns. This year, it's going to be progressively banked turns. Going to be interesting to see how those multiple grooves work as the races progress, as the races progress.
Yeah. It should be fun there. Yeah, Tyler Reddick's an interesting pick. I'm going to go with the dirt guy. I'm going to take Chase Briscoe this week. Yeah, it's Stuart Haas is back. I don't know if you knew that, but we're seeing good runs on him. Got his first career win earlier this year. And I think this, I don't know how crazy Bristol Dirt's going to be, but I think we could see that 14 running up front again at that racetrack, because dirt is the great equalizer. And who knows who's going to win this? Of course, Joey Logano, who really is not qualified as a dirt guy, won. So who knows? But anyway, that's going to do it for this week's preview show. Thank you so much for watching. It's going to be an interesting race for sure. I hope you enjoy your Easter holiday this weekend. And we'll catch you next week for one of my favorite race weekends, Talladega, and you're going to be down there.
That is correct. I'll be down there for the Xfinity race, the truck race, or the Xfinity race, ARCA race, and Cup race.
Yep. Of course, the ARCA Menard Series makes its return next week, and also ARCA West makes its return at Kern. The trucks are off for the next 2 weeks, and then their gauntlet of the schedule begins when they get to Darlington, they'll be on track for the next 8 weeks. So should be fun there. But enjoy the races this weekend at Bristol Dirt. We'll talk to you next week as we preview Talladega.